stay muted. If possible, ask questions in the chat. I know sometimes people call in, and so you might want to unmute and ask. That's totally fine. Or if you're like me and you have a dog that sleeps on your typing arm while you're sitting at your desk and you can't type, that's fine too. You're only going to show up in the recording if you unmute and talk. And so you can have your camera on or off. It's up to you. If you would like to, you've got a little activity here. It's actually a check-in, not a gratitude. I forgot to update that piece of it. But if you know how to use a QR code, you can just hold your phone up and kind of scan, and it'll prompt you to go to that site. And they've got a little check-in that I've used with the kids. Let me hit start on the presentation here. And then I think probably everybody that was shuttling over is shuttled over. So there we go. Now our check-in's up and running. Let's see.
Amanda, let me know when you want to move on.
Okay. I need to get out of the big screen version of this. Okay. So if, actually, Anna, if you could show the results, I think I have in the notes of the presentation, the link, and I can actually share it with everybody too, so that you can, if you wanted to look on your own. Actually, I don't have it for this one, so that's okay. I can share my screen really quick, Anna.
Okay, so stop presenting.
Yeah. So I always like to highlight some of these fun tech things that we do with the kids. And so I have been doing, been focusing on, I started with coping, and then I moved on to feelings with the kids, and learning to check in with yourself and name what you're feeling is a really important skill. And so it's nice just to pause. It's a quick moment of mindfulness too, right? We can center ourselves in the now by checking in with ourselves. And it has been a day. So we've got a lot of tired. I'm in that bucket with you. I'm gonna really, really draw that great energy from whoever said they are great. Thank you for that. All right, Anna, I'll let you take over. Right. And so we are, we're co-presenting. So for those of you who know me, I am, and those of you who don't know me, I'm Amanda Giordano. I'm the school counselor from Nettlehurst. And then I partnered with Anna here. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Anna Solis, and I am the counselor at Meyer.
And then we also have the new social worker for Nettlehurst on the call with us.
Hi, I'm Jackie Gustafson. I am the school social worker this year at Nettlehurst.
So we are focusing on executive functioning tonight. For those of you who are at the Nettlehurst State of the School, we just went through all of the different survey results, and I did ask, what else do you want covered in a coffee with the counselor? And a lot of parents said executive functioning. So here we are. Anna, if you could close that little pop-up that you're sharing your screen.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Thank you. And then go ahead to the next slide. So I also put in the parentheses for the event student like school success skills, because executive functioning is kind of a big fancy jargon word. And it basically is just those skills, the self-management skills that help you achieve goals, all of those things that help you move through your school day, your work day, getting things done. And we're going to focus on 10 different skills, but if you were to look up executive functioning, you would see that some people put 7, some people put 8. Sometimes they'll group things like planning and organization together. So it's not super set in stone, but a lot of the key concepts keep coming up no matter how you differentiate it. Next. And so these are the skills that help us plan, organize, make decisions, shift between one situation and another, or one thought to another efficiently, control our emotions, control our bodies, our impulsivity, learn from our mistakes. And you need these executive functioning skills for everything from packing a backpack to picking priorities. And you'll notice that as we keep talking about the different skills, that a lot of them are interconnected. And so, you know, planning, if you're planning your evening. You're going to have to be organized, and you're also going to need time management. And so that's another reason why, when I say we're focusing on 10, other people might say that there are 7. It's because there is so much overlap. And a lot of times there's this notion that these skills just come naturally to everyone. And that's not the case. These are skills that have to be explicitly taught to lots of people. Lots of kids are still developing all these skills. All of the executive functioning skills are housed in your prefrontal cortex, which is still developing. And so in elementary school, kids really do need help with mastering all of these skills. And then you also have students or adults, anybody, any age, who might struggle with executive functioning because of things like mental illness, because of learning disabilities. ADHD is notorious for affecting your executive functioning skills. Things like anxiety can affect your executive functioning. If you attended my anxiety presentation, you know that when you're anxious, your amygdala controls your emotions. This is your representation of your brain. And so when you're anxious, your amygdala, your emotion center, it fires and it flips open your lid, your prefrontal cortex, which has all of those executive functioning skills. So if you have an anxiety disorder, you're flipping your lid, you're flipping off your executive functioning skills. And so people do need explicit step-by-step, like this is what this executive functioning skill is, this is how you do it. Next slide. All right, Anna, I'll let you take it away.
Yes. Okay, so one of the parts of executive functioning is organization. And organization, when we think about organizing, it can mean a lot of different things for every single one of us, but it really is about learning a system and creating a system for ourselves to keep track of our things, our personal and for kids, like their personal and school related things. So everyone's organization system is going to look slightly different. And what we need to do is we need to teach our kids explicit ways to sort of learn and create a system for themselves. And then once you have a system that works, you potentially are going to go through some trial and error because you're going to have to try to figure out what works for you. But once you have a system developed, it's really important to maintain consistently the use of it. That there's an opportunity to be able to reduce some of the stress and anxiety that comes with being unorganized. So some tips that we've suggested are using an agenda, making some checklists, having a workspace set for home and for their belongings, and then creating a habit of putting things away after using them. That's just one of the ways to sort of get started in developing your own system. And planning, it sort of sometimes goes, coincides and goes together with organization. It's creating a roadmap to how you're going to complete a task or a goal. So you're going to be able to, create some schedules, do some goal setting. There's some links here for you. When we share the deck, you'll be able to sort of explore some of these options and do some trial and error with your students to try to make a determination about what is something that will be effective and they will be comfortable with using.
Mm-hmm. And I know that at Nettlehorst, we have, our teachers have created a weekly plan for students with what they have to do every day. Some of them call it like fifth grade has a product checklist and a student schedule. And then in sixth grade, they have just one document that's a little bit of everything. And for some of those grades, each student automatically gets their own copy. Others, they would have to make their own copy, but those are really good because they have a space for them to check off what's due, what appointments they have to get to every day. And that's kind of like their planner, their agenda. Even we as adults need those. And so make sure that your child is taking advantage of those tools and resources. Next. So sustained attention, obviously really important executive functioning skill. Just making sure that even if you're tired, even if there are distractions, you're on task. And there are different strategies that you can use. Maybe you have to have a fidget there. I personally have a fidget. I've showed the kids, when I've done check-ins with them, like check in with yourself, see how much energy you have. If you've got a lot of energy, the zones of regulation, if you're in the yellow or the red, maybe you need a fidget while you're sitting there. You know, maybe you need to get up and have a movement break because you just start to get antsy in your seat. And if you run it off, you jump it off, you can come back, sit down and be focused and stay attentive for longer. And I also like to point it out to kids that paying attention isn't just important for school, because they'll be like, whatever, school. But it's important for social situations too. Because if you're with a friend and your friend is talking and they're telling you the story, and at the end of the story, you turn around and you're like, what? That friend isn't going to be very happy with you. And so building the attention skills is important in all parts of your life. Eliminating distractions. You know, I know that with remote learning, it's really hard. They can very easily open up another tab and go play a game and go on YouTube, chat. Just teaching them the importance of minimizing those distractions can go a long way. So on the next slide, we have a planning and attention activity. If you happen to have pen and paper, feel free to follow along. So we would like you to trace the shape that's on the screen. Just draw it on your paper without lifting your pencil. Continue to draw the shape. A little bit bigger each time you go around. We want you to draw the shape 5 times. And can you stay within the space that you have in front of you? This is something that Anna has done with her students. And so I'll let you talk a little bit about your results.
Yeah, so like when I've presented I've done this with a group of 4th and 5th graders, and I've done it with a group of teachers. And one of the things that we talked a lot about was oftentimes you will see a set of directions and you will go to just basically follow through the steps without completely fully reading through the set of directions, so that when you're done, you come to the conclusion that had you read the step before more thoroughly, you would have gotten to the followed completely the directions. And so it was funny because a couple of the teachers were saying to me, while you were doing this presentation, I just went ahead and drew the figure without even really listening to you. And so we talked a little bit about what that looks like for some of our students. And sometimes we're giving multiple steps at one time. We're giving directions that possibly is not being chunked together appropriately. And so the kids are kind of everywhere. And just so this reminder of looking and making a plan before you begin something. So maybe something more effective is to kind of read through the steps before you actually begin. And that was sort of something that I've talked a lot about with the kids when we are following directions.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, next. So our next skill is task initiation, and just that ability to start something. You have something to do and you go ahead and you do it without procrastinating. And, when you can start things quickly, then obviously completing them is easy. You don't waste all your time and energy worried about how to get started, what to do, and then you're not in a panic. And so you can think more clearly. So just some initiation tips to make sure that your kid has everything that they need right there. Because if they have to get up and go and get something, chances are they're going to get distracted on purpose or, accidentally. Make sure that you're holding them accountable by checking in. I hear all the time when parents say, well, I trusted them. I thought that they were doing what they said. They said that they finished, they said that they were going to be working on the math now. And they're still developing these skills, these attending skills, and the task initiation. So check in with them. Help them come up with a routine. If they have the same routine every day, it's going to be easier for them to sit down and get started. If the first thing they do every single day when they wake up is they brush their teeth, they're going to remember brush their teeth. Like how many times have we done that with some part of our routine that we always forget? Like I was doing a terrible job taking my vitamins. I put the vitamins next to my toothbrush, and that's my routine because I know every morning I get up, I brush my teeth, and then I can take my vitamins. So the same is true for your kid. Make a routine for them, and then just help them stick to it, hold them accountable, check in. I know you said you were doing this after on your asynchronous time today. How's that going? And then let them take breaks and reward themselves for their effort, because it makes it seem a little less daunting, a little less overwhelming if they have something to look forward to and know they can take a break. And for younger kids, that might even look like giving them a visual schedule of when they know their break is going to be or what they're working towards. So that can be really motivating and can help them sit down and actually get started. Anna?
Okay. Our next section is time management. And time management is estimating how much time you have to do the task, deciding how best to spend your time, being conscious and aware of some deadlines. It's going to require you to prioritize and work to complete, the most important tasks first. And so I think that one of the things that we have to remember is that, again, this is a skill that needs to be taught. Managing their time needs to be taught. And I think that being away from school and getting out of the routine and the schedule that school provides is right now creating even greater challenges for kids. So, if you are a child who just kind of gets lost in the work and is unaware of the time, then your day gets away from you. It is a learned skill, because you have to definitely be realistic about what you can get done in a given time. And the truth is that some of our students that suffer from this executive dysfunction have really no notion of time sometimes. And so the hours get away. And so it's important to create a visual. So something that will give them, set a timer, have a visual in front of you that's going to say, stop, check to see the time. And creating something, using something like this where you're kind of prioritizing and looking at your time. You can see this visual right here. You actually are filling it in with the amount of time that you are doing different tasks. And that is a visual that can provide some assistance to kids.
Yeah, that could be really, really eye-opening. I've done that one with kids.
Right.
They go, oh my goodness, that's all the time I have. I better come up with a plan.
Flexibility is the ability to change plans when faced with setbacks, obstacles, or new information. Being flexible means being able to change your mindset and problem solve on the spot. Again, all of these are things that need to be practiced. And at the beginning, it might not seem like it's feasible, but the more consistently you do it, the easier the task will become. It certainly includes having this attitude of going with the flow. Even when you're unsure about what is happening. And for some students that suffer from ADHD or have some of these challenges, not being aware of what comes next is a true challenge. And so even a little preparedness, if we can provide a little preparedness for them, that will definitely be helpful. And then using this tool, the circle of control, like stopping and thinking, what are the things that are within your control? What are things that are out of your control? And this is a really great visual right here. So asking yourself, like, what's bothering me that I cannot change? Is there something about it that I can control? And what are some steps that I can take to accomplish this?
All right.
Okay. So obviously, the circumstances that we're all living right now requires lots of flexibility. And as adults, we sort of provide the modeling and the cues for the kids in our lives. So we would like you to take a moment to just check in to see how flexible you are. You can go to menti.com and enter the code, or you can scan the QR code, and we can show you those results in just a few minutes. Amanda, did you need me to stop presenting to show the results?
Yeah, if you want to do that, or I can give you the link. I can put the link in the chat.
Okay.
Whatever works best for you.
You know what? I'll stop presenting because my whole screen is in the chat right now anyway.
No problem.
Okay. I'm going to wait another moment or so. Okay.
All right. So, oh, gosh, my dog's gonna bark now. Okay, so we have an average of about 3.4 on a scale of 1 to 5. How flexible are you? So these are different cues for how flexible you or your child are. You know, are you calm when events or situations don't go as planned? You know, if something changes and you freak out, you need to work on that flexibility. Can you problem solve on the spot, or do you just kind of melt down or freeze, or, you know, that fight or flight? Are you calm when the schedule changes? Sometimes we can go with the flow. Sometimes it just turns our world upside down. Can you move from one task to another easily? That's a measure of your mental flexibility. And then, you know, can you handle it when you have a lot going on, when you have a big task? You know, if not, that's another sign. You need to work on that flexibility. So if you have that Mentimeter open in another window, leave it open because we're going to get back to it, or we can put the code back on screen. I will let you take back over.
Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes. You are presenting. I don't know why it says you're not. You are.
Am I presenting?
I don't think it ever actually stopped presenting your screen.
So strange. Okay.
Technology. And so then another big jargon word coming your way, metacognition. It's just self-monitoring. So metacognition is thinking about your thoughts. And so in terms of executive functioning, it's just being able to know what's going through your head and to be able to take a step back and evaluate how you're doing. Are you on track, and are you doing quality work? So a way that you can encourage better metacognition or self-monitoring in your child is to have these questions for them to ask themselves. So there are questions they can ask before the task of, what's the purpose? What am I doing here? Is it to be perfect, or is it just to practice? What am I going to need to get this done? You know, we need to think about that process. What's the first step? Do I need to do research first, or is it just sit down and get the pen to paper? Do I need to reread the instructions, or can I jump right in? How much time should I need to complete this? Do I have enough time to sit down and actually get a meaningful amount of work done right now? Or do I need to set a different time for this? And then checking in during, you know, am I on track? Or have I sat here for a whole hour and not really accomplished anything? You know, what's up next? Am I actually following the directions, or did I go, you know, another route? And then afterwards, asking, how did I do? What grade would I give myself? Am I proud of my work? Is there anything that I could have improved on? So, not sure about others, but I don't see this slide in the main screen anymore. Oh, yeah, it could be. Okay, super. All right.
Next slide.
Next, working memory. The thing that I have none of. That skill that helps you hold information in your mind while completing a task. Those of you who have ever met with me know that I'll be like, yes, I will do that. Actually, hold on. In my Google Meets, you'll see me go off screen because I'm writing everything furiously in my planner because I have no working memory. And I recognize that about myself. You know, you need it when you're taking notes. You need it when you're doing math problems. You need it during anything with multiple directions. If you have a child where you give them a list of things out loud, and you say, okay, go get your coat and your shoes, make sure you pack your lunch, and did you make your bed? And they come back and they've got like their hat and nothing else accomplished. That's a working memory issue. And so one of the biggest tips that you can use for working memory is to use multiple modes of sensory input. So if it's, you know, reciting facts out loud, okay, tell me the words on your spelling list, or tell me whatever definitions you need to remember. Have your kid recite those things out loud. Have them write things over and over, those spelling words, write them again and again and again. That kinesthetic act can sometimes be what makes it click. Make lists. Keep flashcards. Take notes, even if you don't, if your kid doesn't have to take notes, have them take notes anyway, because that physical act of transferring information from a word that you hear into something that you write down can cement it in. Maybe they need to have something read aloud. Maybe they need a mnemonic device like Roy G. Biv for the colors of the rainbow, or Never Eat Soggy Waffles for the directions. I still use Never Eat Soggy Waffles to figure out which direction is where. So, you know, it's just about knowing what your strengths and your weaknesses are, you know, recognizing what they are in your child and giving them the skills that they need. I definitely can't remember anything if you say it out loud. Write it down, show it to me, I'm good to go. So you might just need to try different things. Next. So we have another challenge for you. This is a working memory challenge. I'm going to ask you to study the picture on the next slide for 15 seconds, and you are going to be asked to list as many items as you can remember. So let me get my my timer up. Okay, go to the next slide. Study, my friends. Timer's on. Stop. Okay, head back to Mentimeter. If you still have it open, you can just go back to it. If you don't have it open, we've got that QR code on screen, and let us know what you remember. And then I'm going to put the link in the chat to view results. I don't think it'll show anything until someone has hit submit. So right now there's nothing there, but we'll get there. And this is a really good thing to do with your kids. Those I Spy books, you know, have them try to remember as many things as they can on the page, and using different methods. Do they need to say them out loud as they're looking and trying to remember? Do they need to keep a piece of paper to scratch stuff down? When you find what works, then stick with it. Here come our results. We've got some good ones. Tabasco, egg, zebra. Anna, is there a chance that you could click that link in the chat and toggle over? Since it didn't seem to want to present my screen last time, even when I presented.
Hold on one second. I was trying to stop presenting, but
Just didn't like it.
did it stop presenting?
It's still sharing your screen. So if you go up to the chat. Okay, there we go. You want me to share? I can do that. So we've got, there's a list there. There's a list that's from 5 participants. So we've got zebra, rabbit, smiley, orange dinosaur, egg, X, dinosaur, leprechaun, dinosaur. A couple people noticed the dinosaurs, and I wonder, the dinosaurs, there were a couple of them. Bigger white fluffy thing. Great. So again, and this could be a really fun thing that you do with your kid to help them figure out what's going to help them with their memory. All right. So we're going to go back to our presentation. And next up is self-control. And so self-control, I was explaining to our 4th graders in a lesson yesterday. Self-control can be a couple of different things. It's doing what you're supposed to do, but also, like we talked about earlier, the circle of control. So Anna, I'll let you take it over.
Yes, so self-control is definitely thinking before you act and resisting the temptation to do something or say something that you probably shouldn't. It definitely means that you have to practice controlling your emotions. And sometimes you have to have total control of your emotions before you can begin a task. It's really important to talk with your kids about what are some things that are triggers for them and what are some things that they can do to control those emotions that those triggers bring out. So for example, some possible triggers for some kids can be being called a name or being accused of something that they did not do, being left out, feeling invisible. Maybe when somebody gets too close, there's not enough space in between them, feeling jealous or being fearful. So it's really important to engage in conversations, like what are some things that could have caused that emotion, or what the trigger, what brought up the trigger, what happened right before the situation. Did you have a good day, before that? Like, were you having a good day before that? Did something else happen? Who was around you? Where were you? All of these things are important to engage in conversation with your kids about, because you also want to pay attention to some of the patterns and possibly, start looking at answering those questions, like having conversations and possibly journaling about what are some things that provoked these emotions and created the sense of feeling out of control. It's, again, like Amanda and I really talked about creating some practical things that you can do throughout your day to sort of engage in those self-control practices. So playing a game like Jenga, for example, playing a game like red light, green light, allows you to practice those self-control skills, and maybe possibly putting up some of these visuals in a space where will be helpful for them to be able to see and just remember, a locker, at their workspace where they're working, maybe at the door before you're, heading out, just having the visuals available to them so that they can be reminded, will be helpful. Another concept is for executive functioning is perseverance, and it is the drive to follow through to the completion of a goal, regardless of what can come or stand in the way. It's really sticking to something until the task is fully completed. And oftentimes, our kids might experience the sense of like throwing their hands up in the air and wanting to give up on something because it becomes challenging. But it really is about encouraging them to pick up the pieces and keep moving forward. And I think that is key to increasing their ability to, again, be in control of their emotions and such. So we found this video that we think is a good example to share with our students, and I'm going to play.
After being cut from his high school basketball team, he went home, locked himself in his room, and cried. He wasn't able to speak until he was almost 4 years old, and his teachers said he would never amount to much. Was demoted from her job as a news anchor because she wasn't fit for television.
Okay, so that's just a little, oops, sorry.
And I think, that's something to show your kids, and a good conversation to have when they get defeated. Ask them to think about, like, do you think that Mom, I never failed? Like, do you think Dad never failed? What do you think about, like, your favorite, whoever their idol is, your favorite musician, your favorite YouTuber, whoever they look up to? Like, do you think that they succeeded every time? Like, do you think they gave up when things got hard? And then, also asking them about things that they once thought were hard that they have since accomplished, just to point out, you just have to stick with it.
And again, you can help increase their ability to persevere by helping them create a growth mindset. So A growth mindset acknowledges that we grow our skills and that we acknowledge through hard work and practice. A fixed mindset would think that our skills and knowledge are fixed. So it'll be hard things are always going to be hard. So encouraging our kids to grow with a growth mindset is really important.
And so that takes us through all 10 of the executive functioning skills. We have some articles here. 2 of them are just more tips about helping kids who might struggle with executive function. And then one has more articles or more examples of different games that you can play to strengthen different areas of executive functioning. And there are a couple of more worksheets that are linked that didn't fit on their respective slides. What pushes your buttons one is great. I use that with students all the time. And sometimes they don't realize, I'm always getting really frustrated when we're playing soccer at recess because they don't play fair. Okay, well, what do you think can fix that? Oh, well, maybe I just need to not play soccer. Great, and that helps build that self-control. If you can control where you go, can control avoiding those triggers, then you're going to have better outcomes. So that's a really helpful one. So everything that's in there that says it's linked is linked, and that's a wrap. Are there any questions or we've had some really good conversations at the end of some of these about things that are working really well for other families. So if anybody has anything to share, feel free to share or ask questions right now. But we're really happy that you came to join us again. We know that time is of the essence. You don't have enough of it. And I know that my Nettlehurst families came over from another presentation. So thanks for sticking in it for the long haul. I appreciate you. All right. Well, doesn't sound like there's anything. So we appreciate you. You're very welcome. I will work on fixing the link for the next couple of events. And I hope that you have a wonderful holiday. You're welcome.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. You're welcome.
Great job, you guys. Great job.
Thank you.
It was
And thanks for joining, Jackie.